Hey everybody, it's Carrie, and it is time for our Gingham Cottage stamp class. So excited to be with you guys here today. This is a recorded video tutorial because we are also having an in-person stamp class. So if you live local to me and you want to join in person in the future, stamp class is always the third Saturday of each month, and we do the in-person and also the virtual. Now, for anybody that's new that is not familiar with my stamp class, it is $20 or free with a minimum order. And for that, you receive the components to create the projects that I'm going to share today. So anytime throughout the month, you can place an order and that qualifies you for the class packet. So you do need a couple of supplies, just basic supplies to be able to put the projects together. And those are a bone folder, paper snips, some adhesive, a couple different adhesives. I'll be using liquid glue, glue dots today, and dimensionals of both sizes, but you can cut the regular size dimensionals down if you don't have the minis. But if you don't have the minis, they're awesome. It's nice to be able just to grab those, and I'll be showing you those today. You will also need a green ink pad. I'm using Garden Green, also using Memento Tuxedo Black, and also Early Espresso. So if you don't have those inks, you can substitute any black, green, or brown will work. And let me show you the components to this suite. So the Gingham Cottage suite of products is found in our mini catalog, starting on page 58, and it is awesome. I love the plaids in this paper, just so fun. And it is one of those packs that is extra large. It's got 4 sheets of each of the patterns. So that makes making multiples super, super awesome. And then it just shows you the components in the suite, which I have everything available here to show you. And that'll be a little bit easier than looking at the catalog, but it's an awesome suite of products. What I love is that the paper has such a variety of colors. It will get you through your fall crafting and Christmas crafting. So let's look first at the stamp die bundle. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, and it has a combination of images and sentiments, 15 stamps total. So not only does it have the wreath images, but it's got a lot of components that you can use to help decorate your wreath. And you can use this for really any occasion. It's great for Halloween wreaths, for Thanksgiving wreaths, fall wreaths, Christmas. And it doesn't really have flowers that you can incorporate for spring and summer, but no, we have other stamps and dies that we can use and even extend that use into those products or projects too. Now let me look and make sure I tell you the right name. The country wreath dies coordinate with the stamps and give you even more options. And if you don't have the stamp set that I'm using today, it's okay. You're going to be able to substitute some sentiments from a set that has appropriate sentiments for the projects that we're making. You don't have to have the stamp set the way that I design stamp classes. I try to pick something that has dies that I can use for focal images and let you experience the products, but still use stamps that you have. Now, anytime that you want to purchase anytime you want to purchase the products, I do have a monthly host code that you can use when you're putting your order in. And don't forget that when you buy the stamp die bundle, you do save 10%. Now, there's also these like pearlized elements that you can create your own little embellishment with. So there's white, black, and red. This is not something that I've really played with yet, and we're not using it on the projects today because there's really not a way for me to send that out to you for those that are doing the virtual class. So I may work with these and report back to you. I do have a friend, Karen, and she used them and really liked it, said it didn't take super long for them to dry. So we'll see. I may try to use that, but not with our projects for today. And then we also have, I'm trying to get this to come undone, the silver threaded I think it's silver threaded twine or trim. It's really awesome. It is pretty thick though, so I'm going to teach you a little trick to do with this. Now I did go ahead and pull in, I'm just in love with the iridescent pearls. Get my ribbon to stay back out of the way. These iridescent pearls are awesome, and I thought they were a nice addition to the projects for today. And in your kit, you did get a strip of those. So I think about 10 embellishments that you can use. And you can just sprinkle them on as you want. I think I only maybe used it on one project, but you just use whatever you want. And then I pulled in the early espresso ribbon. This is awesome, and it goes really well with the fall projects that we're going to be making. Then, of course, we have the Gingham Cottage Designer Series paper. As I said, this is one of those packs that, oh, it is just amazing. And it has a little something for everybody as far as colors. So you can see just lots of colors and combinations. And it's really, really fun. So you've got something for really pretty much any holiday time of year that you can use to create projects. I love the black and whites because you can always add a pop of color, or you can color those too. So in your packet, you're going to find the supplies for what you need to create the 4 projects today. And then in the back, be sure and check out your embellishment pack. Before we open anything up, I want to make sure that you know to be careful when you're pulling your pieces out. I did a lot of die cutting for you for this class, so it's going to be pretty straightforward projects, but I think they turned out really cute. I hope you like them. But be careful because there's little pieces in pretty much every one of the packets. So first up, we're going to make a Halloween card. And so I thought this one turned out really cute. I need to show you a little bit closer on the dies. Let me pull those back in. And it may make a little bit more sense with seeing a card. So there are several different pieces that cut out a wreath. And so you're going to see these 2 featured in the class today because they cut out 2 pieces that can layer on each other. Then you've got the full wreath pieces that you can use as well. But what I did for this card is I used the Designer Series paper and I cut out one of the wreath images and then mounted it on the circle. So I thought that was fun to bring the black wreath and then the little orange accents in. So that's how I did that one. But you're going to have several projects today that have those die cut pieces. I did pull out our hat, witch hat builder punch to use for the witch hat. And let me go ahead and grab my packet. Now in this stamp set, there is a stamp that says Boo, really cute. And I'll go ahead and pull out all my pieces and follow my own advice and be careful not to lose any little bits. So you do have a basic white card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and it is the thick basic white. Sometimes you have a little ridge from cutting with the thick, and so I just use my bone folder to smooth that out as well. You've got this super cute piece, and you could really use either side of this Designer Series paper, whatever you like. I think we'll go ahead and adhere that down. So I cut the Designer Series paper, I think on all of the projects, at 5 inches by 3 3/4, and then just have a smaller mat. No, I'm telling you wrong. For this one, the Designer Series paper is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And so it just has a small border. I'm gonna have to bring that over on top of the white so I can see better. My eyes are tired today, y'all. It's been a busy, busy week. I don't think, yes, that's better. Okay, and then that's gonna just layer right on top of our card base. Just that small bit of basic black underneath there. I really like how that makes the paper stand out more. But you could certainly just use the designer series paper if you wanted to. And then we've got our circle and the little wreath that I cut from the designer series paper. It's getting, I think I have an extra little banner. We'll see. Now on your witch's hat, I did go ahead and punch out the little orange band from pumpkin pie cardstock, just a little basic black witch's hat. So we'll adhere that on. Doesn't take anywhere near that much glue. And then this die set has not only the detailed bow die that I'm using, but it also has where you can stamp it and then die cut it out. And I think I'll wait to add my ribbon until I see my placement, the bow, until I see my placement on the card. I'm just going to, in a couple of places, add a small amount of liquid glue to add my wreath to my circle. This is strong adhesive, so it doesn't take a lot. And we'll go ahead and put that down. And just look at how it cut where your orange and black is to place that on your circle. However you like it. Now I just glued this straight down. We could have stamped the boo in the center of that. I glued this straight down because I'm going to pop up my witch's hat. So we'll bring that right about there. And pop that up with dimensionals. You will want to grab a piercing mat, a mouse pad, something like that to give you a little cushion with this photopolymer stamp set as you're stamping. And I want to make sure I'm on the right side of that banner. Earlier today, I was working on a project and I stamped on the back of a stitched banner. That doesn't really work, y'all. I just flipped it over and stamped it again. Considered that my practice. But let me take my glasses off so I'm not hitting my lighting. That's a little bit crooked, but I think for Boo, that's okay. That adds to the fun, doesn't it? I'm going to pop that stamp over on the chamois for a minute. Okay. So now let's get some dimensionals and we will add. There's those little minis that I was telling you about. I really like these. Of course, you can cut your regular size dimensionals. Want to. I really should be using my take your pick tool to take those backings off, especially on the minis. That comes in handy. Have my Boo sentiment. And then I'm ready to add with just these regular size dimensionals. Oops, did I grab too many? No. Grab the wrong ones. I'm going to put my witch's hat on. Oh, and I turned that the other way. That's okay though. Y'all see what I did there? You can flip that witch's hat over. And that's what I did. So it's going to be going the other direction. That's all right. We have options, right? Didn't do that on purpose, but it's going to work out. You just add your witch's hat there. And then I did use mini dimensionals to add this bow as well. I thought this was really cute. And the fact that they do all the work on this little detailed die make it look very realistic. That's not going to work right there. Let me move it up just a tiny bit. Just pop that on, and we are finished with our first card. Turned out cute. I love this paper, y'all. I thought it would be fun on each of these projects if I showed you what it would look like if I did the stamping instead of the die cutting. So here is a sample where I did the exact same layout, but I stamped the bow for the witch's hat and I stamped the wreath. So that way you can get an idea of how that looks stamped. So let me know which way you like that better. Both look cute. Okay, we will move right along and make our next project. So like I said, really straightforward this time, but I love the way everything turned out. So another kit here, and this one has small pieces. This is the card, Grateful card. And this is a little bit different color combo. I use crumb cake for the base, and then Cajun Craze cardstock for the mat. And then this has mint macaron in this piece of designer series paper. Now you may have a little bit different leaves than what I do in your packet. That's okay. I cut several different colors. Think yellow, early espresso, Cajun Craze, and there was something else. I think maybe so saffron, I'm not positive. But anyway, you may have gotten different leaves than what I have. So again, just making sure I pull out all my little pieces. And I think before I stamp, my card base is not scored. I hope y'all's is. Not sure how I got by with that. Normally score first and then cut so that I have two scored card bases. But anyway, that was easy enough to fix with the bone folder. It works just fine. We'll go ahead and add our inside panel. Some basic white. Now this would be fun to maybe stamp a couple of the leaves on the inside. And of course you could always go the extra mile and decorate that envelope, right? I did not do that this time for class, but you could certainly do that. It's always fun when you go to the mailbox and there's a card with the envelope decorated and you get a little sneak peek of what's inside. That makes me happy. Now you really have options. You could use either side of this, and actually I may go ahead and turn this piece over. And then again, I'm going to mat this with just a very small border of Cajun Craze. So the paper is cut at 5. Designer series paper is cut at 5 by 3 3/4. Put that on the card front. Try to get an equal border all the way around. I just really love the way the mint macaron pops on that border of the Cajun Craze. Oops, did I lose my leaves? There they are. Okay, let's bring that piercing mat back in. And this time we're using Early Espresso ink. I'm going to close my glue before I make a mess. And we're just stamping Grateful down in the corner. Sorry if I'm getting my head in the camera, I very well may be. The joys of having lighting up above you while you're trying to work. Okay. So now we're just going to take our leaves, and you can use glue dots. So I got Cajun Craze and Early Espresso, it looks like. And we're just going to take our little leaves and put them up towards the top here in that upper left corner. You can use liquid glue or you can use glue dots for this. Either way, that'll work. I did find my take your pick tool here. We're just going to add those as a little accent. So probably just pick up a glue dot and bring it over. And that should work. I'll put those little leaf stems into the glue dot and press it down. Whoops, I'm losing my leaves. They're blowing away. We can kind of zhuzh it when we get done. I want that one on this other side. With the Early Espresso one in the middle. Okay, now I'll show you a little trick with this twine. So you have a length of twine in your packet. And you'll notice that this is pretty thick. Now you can certainly tie a knot or a bow with it and it'll work just fine. But what I've found is that you can actually take this apart. So you have to be a little bit patient with it. But you can actually pull that end apart. And the first couple times I did it, it worked really well and it was not hard. And the last couple times I've tried this, it didn't want to come out. So kind of fray one of those ends and pick a thread that's closer to the outside and just start pulling on it. I bet that one's not going to go. Try that again. Just have to get it broken up a bit. And I had the best luck pulling one closer to the edge. There we go. Okay, and then just kind of work with it to get that piece back down. I'm just going to set that up at the top of my table there because we're going to use that other piece. Now you can pull a couple of threads out if you want to. I'm just doubling this one because I think it's plenty long enough to make a bow, but I don't know. I may pull another thread out. If I can, it's there it goes. Now I've got it going. Okay. So you can just take those two pieces together and tie them together into your bow. That was probably enough just to fold it over, but I want to make a pretty good size bow. And I think you could even use 3 strands or double that back and use 4. whatever you like. I may try that, doubling it back and see what happens. Now, this is very much like linen thread, but it's a little bit more, now I'm going to do it the other way. It's a little bit more rustic. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's got little fibery pieces. It just adds a little bit more interest, I think. Just tie those strands together. And then you can work with your bow and get it the way you like it. Isn't that cool though, that you can pull that ribbon apart, that thread apart? Yeah, I really like this. And I have used it on projects where I kept it that full thick strand, but I love having ways that we can utilize our products a little bit differently too. Okay, we'll bring in another glue dot and add this bow. I use a couple, make sure it stays secure. I'm just going to put that right up there, cover up my glue dot that's holding the leaf stems. And that fallish. Very fun. Okay, now we'll grab dimensionals again. And I just pop this up. To cut these borders. That always makes me think of Donna Fenton. She cuts her dimensionals like that. And you know to use those borders, those bones. I used to throw those pieces away. I don't know what I was thinking. I just didn't know any better when I first started crafting. Now I know better. I would never do that. I'll just get another little piece of bones here. Just use up those edges. Looks messy on the back, but that doesn't matter, does it? You're not going to look at the back. Okay. And I just pop that on. Whoops, I need this one. I just pop that on up in the corner, kind of justified it up. You can center it if you prefer that, or you could even bring it down. Let's do that this time. Just going to bring that down across the bottom. I like that too. We've got options. And that is our second project. Oh, I need to add a few of my iridescent pearls though. I just put those in the corner. Where did my take the pick tool go? I just had it. There it is. I just added those down in the corner on the designer series paper. So here, I think I'll add them at the top in that corner. Fun way to add just a little bit of sparkle, but still keep it fallish. Is that a word? Probably not really. Okay, now it is finished. And I've started keeping my embellishments in our clear envelopes. I keep all of my embellishments in a shoebox type box that came from Hobby Lobby. I think LaDonna got it for me, but I can just line them up then and I can see them in the package. I know how many I have. They're not rubbing up against each other and moving them around or knocking them off. So it's easy access to them, and I just really like doing that. So that's my new storage that I'm doing with my embellishments. Let me pull in the card that I created with the stamping, and it is a little bit different than this card that we've just created, but I thought this turned out really pretty as well, and just wanted to offset that focal image. So again, let me know if you prefer it with the die cut leaves or if you like it stamped. You can like both of them. I'll let you. I like both of them. Just a really fun and easy fall card for you. Okay. I'm going to show you some projects before we do card number 3 that I've made with this designer series paper. And actually, this is a set of 4 cards. We made these for team meeting. Each month in team meeting, Dale and I prep basically an extra class for our team members. So this is one that we made a month or 2 ago. And just love the way that this turned out. Nature's Prints is the stamp set that I pulled in to use for these cards, and it goes really well with this paper. So again, these are super simple cards, but they're just very pretty, very subtle. But oh, there's a leaf. I wanted to share those with you. And then this past Wednesday on Facebook Live, I used this suite of products because I've had so much fun creating with it to prep for class. So this is the card that I made on Facebook Live Wednesday. So again, have the wreath stamped. That is that intricate wreath, intricate bow with the detail to it cut out of metallic cardstock. It looks really, really good. And then you see those little leaves again and that beautiful sentiment. So it's a super simple card. I did use the timber embossing folder. I don't know that that will really show up super well, but I used that and just sprinkled on the pearls. Okay, we've got another fall card for this next project. I'm going to use my Early Espresso ink once again. Let me go ahead and show you the card with the die cutting. So really, really happy with this one. I love the way So Saffron and Early Espresso play together. And so here you get to see how layering those pieces looks. I just love that. And of course, I have one that I can show you with it stamped as well. And you can decide which way you prefer this card. Both look really pretty. And that's where I pulled in that Early Espresso ribbon. It looks awesome on this project. So let's go ahead and create this card. Again, watch for your little pieces in your envelope. And we'll start with our card base. It's Early Espresso. And this time I scored it. Now this is the designer series paper. I think I put all my extra bits in here, so just ignore that. So this designer series paper is 5 1/4 by 4. So it's the only one I think that I cut differently. The rest are all 5 by 3 3/4 with a mat. And this time I just really like the way that the designer series paper looks directly on the base. Now you can see too that I'm turning it over and I'm using the other side of that pattern that's a little bit tighter. So this card's going to have just a little bit different look to it but that's okay. I like that, showing you guys different ways to create. And it's going to give it a little bit different look, but that's good. We'll go ahead and put our piece of basic white on the inside. This may be one of the fastest stamp classes we've done in a while, because it is pretty straightforward, and just doing that die cutting ahead of time for you guys makes a big difference. You know, Dale for a long time was able to help me a lot with die cutting, and now being a teacher, he doesn't have as much spare time to die cut, y'all. I'm doing a lot more of my own die cutting to prep for classes. Now this piece I did emboss, and I thought that I got the embossing folder out. I did. This is the fern embossing folder. So if you like that and you don't have a nice greenery embossing folder, it's a good one. And I just took this piece. I'm pretty sure this is 3 inches by 4 inches. Could measure it right quick, but I embossed that piece, and it's just going to layer right here on the front. Be sure to use plenty of adhesive, since it does have the embossing. So some of the fibers of the cardstock are not going to be touching. So a little bit more glue than I would typically recommend. And I kind of justified that up towards the top a little bit more. Approximately even borders on the side, but brought that up just a little bit towards the top. And then we've got our wreath. So you've got the piece that's done in early espresso. It's just a little bit thicker wreath. You can probably already see all the different things that you can do with this. I think this gives some great dimension by layering these up. I don't want to adhere that entire wreath down completely. I want a little bit of it sticking up, giving me some dimension. So a little bit of liquid glue in about 4 places on my wreath is what I'm doing, but you do what you feel comfortable with. You could certainly use your silicone craft sheet and a sponge dauber to add that glue as well. Okay, we'll let that dry for just a second, and I'll cover my glue. And I will go ahead and bring in my piercing mat again. Now this is a stitched rectangle. Those are some really good dies to have on hand as well for sentiments. So we'll get our sentiment. I just got ink on my finger. Go ahead and stamp this down. Trying to see if I can get it pretty straight. Did a pretty good job. Again, using the early espresso ink. And then I did use dimensionals to add this to my card. And get them off there. There we go. Using another little strip of the bones, those borders. Use those up. I always love it when I get a fresh package of dimensionals out. That makes me happy. Okay. Some people just make life better. Isn't that a sweet sentiment? I'm adding that down at the bottom and just centering it, but I am bringing it up a little bit onto that embossed piece, just like the way that that looked. Now, you could certainly add some pearls to this card if you want to. You go ahead and grab my ribbon. When this brown ribbon came out, it was part of a masculine suite a couple of years ago now. And man, I love this ribbon. So I'll use any excuse to get it back out. And then we'll just use a glue dot like that. And you could really put that bow top or bottom or side, wherever you like it. I think this bow is a little bit smaller maybe. I might put this one at the bottom. Yep, I think I will. Just to use our options, right? Okay, there is card number 3. And remember what our stamped card looks like. And using that other side of the paper, I do think that that makes a difference. A little bit more yellow comes through. So, another cute one. I hope y'all are loving these. I just had so much fun designing this class for you. It made me happy. Now we've got our last project, and it is a beautiful Christmas card. So see how versatile these products are? Just love them. So we're going to make a sweet Merry Christmas card. And this one doesn't have as many small pieces, but I just realized that I don't have the wreath part. I meant to die cut those and I didn't. Well, we'll just make the card to that point. Yeah, I ran short and did not have, I think that Dale came home from work and did a little bit of die cutting for me, and we did not count properly. So I had intended to come back in and die cut a wreath, but I didn't do that. So I'll go ahead and put the card together, and then I can always add the wreath. So this card base is actually Evening Evergreen. You know, it is one of our in colors from 2021 to 2023. So that means we have what, about 8.5 months left with this color, and then Stampin' Up! Will retire it. If they do what they usually do, you know, they always reserve the right to change their mind, but that's what they usually do. And when Evening Evergreen first came out, I thought, golly, that is a dark shade of green. I just don't know about that. I'll use it at Christmas, but I use this color all the time. I love Evening Evergreen. So should I do that this time too? Maybe so. So I'm going to miss Evening Evergreen. I'm already starting to get a little bit nervous about that going away. And then this is Garden Green that I'm matting my piece of Designer Series paper. And again, it's cut at 5 by 3 3/4. And then that mat is just a little bit bigger. So let me think about that. So it'd be 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I think I did that right. I think I told you right. So this again is a very simple card, but I just thought it turned out really striking. I think the little pop of white from the circle really adds to it. It's going to be a lonely little circle. See, I went over and I die cut the scallop. I cut that from Garden Green as well. And it's just a very, very small border behind that white circle. But it does help to make that pop from the red Designer Series paper. So yeah, I went over and I was short a sentiment piece and I was short the scallop circle, and I just never cut my wreath. My die cut machine and everything's across the room where I would do that right quick. I went ahead and popped that up then onto my card. So we will do that. I'm getting low here on this sheet of dimensionals, y'all. I'll go ahead and pull in a little bit more of the bones. Use those up. That's a pretty good size scallop circle. It's gonna look awfully lonely on there, isn't it? But I can fix it. You have your die cut wreath. That's what's important. And then I just stamped the Merry Christmas. So again, just sweet and simple. That's the wrong banner. This is the right banner. This comes from the Stylish Shapes dies. Love those. We use them all the time. So we'll ink up our Merry Christmas. Y'all have a much better vantage point than I do. We're going to go with it. Not perfect, it's handmade, right? Okay, and then we'll pop that up on the bottom. And then I did go ahead and tie the bow for this one with the rest of that twine. I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Just use the rest of the twine. Just pulling those couple threads out helps. And you should have plenty of twine in your packet so that maybe you can even use it on another project, or even just little bits of that tucked in to a grouping of flowers or leaves would look really cute. You can just save those little scraps. I have a jar that I keep my little bits of ribbon in. And it's been a while since I've shown you what I do with those. I'll have to do that. So then I add my little bow with the glue dot. And I'll show you. I may have already shown you the one that I did. Maybe not. This is the one that I did stamped. And I think that sentiment's a little bit crooked, but I could fix that. But isn't that pretty? Again, that would be nice to stamp the Merry Christmas, I think that that Merry Christmas would fit on the inside of the wreath as well. So one that has been die cut and one that has been stamped. And I did use the same colors, the Evening Evergreen and Garden Green. So let me go ahead and pull back the other cards that we created. Oops, that way. And then this one. And then our fun Halloween card. And that, my friends, is Gingham Cottage Stamp Class. I hope you enjoyed making these projects as much as I enjoy designing them for you and prepping the supplies for you. Thank you so much for letting me do that. I have so much fun and I love sharing creativity with y'all, and it just means the world to me. That's why I do what I do, is for you. So let me know if you have any questions at all and any feedback. I'd love to hear what you think. And I'd love to see what changes you make using your stamps, or you may decide to use the products a little bit differently. So I will post a share thread like I usually do after stamp class so that you can share either the changes that you made to these projects, or you can share what you've been working on. So if you're quilting, if you're painting, whatever you do that's creative, feel free to share those projects and inspire us. Thanks so much, y'all. See you soon.